of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also smart TVs 2016 forward. Now joining me on Candid Frank Live, the one, the only, Aaron William Freeland. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, Frank, how are you today?
Well, I don't know. It kind of, on Friday, on Friday when we did the show, there was a wee bit of angst in the neighborhood, the Leaf neighborhood.
Ah,
So things are a little better now, but we'll get to them in a sec, and we'll first, I guess, the most important story right now is the riding that I used to live in, the one that you live in. There's been an election called for that riding.
yes, there has. Back in May of this year, the Liberal MP for our neighborhood, Sven Spengeman, resigned to take a position with the United Nations. So that has left the Mississauga Lakeshore riding without a member of parliament for the past 6 months or so. There will be a by-election and hopefully a new one decided on December 12th. Now, as it currently stands, the person who's running as a Liberal in this area is former Ontario Liberal Finance Minister Charles Sousa, who's represented a provincial riding in Mississauga for more than a decade. Now, the riding has largely been represented by federal Liberals, save for the time when it was conservative under Stephen Harper's majority government from 2011 to 2015. For those in the neighborhood, Ron Schinzer is a Peel Regional Police Officer. He's running for the Tories in the by-election. This is going to be the first one since Pierre Poilievre became party leader, so we'll see if Pierre's message resonates with people further down the chain. Julia Cole, a former provincial constituency assistant in the area, is the NDP candidate, while Mary Kitnew, a lifelong Mississauga resident, will represent the Federal Green Party. So for those people in my neighborhood, buckle up. December 12th is coming. Watch for your campaign signs. Make sure you inform yourselves.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go over the Canadian Football League. I was 1 for 2 in my predictions. I predicted Montreal correctly. I didn't. The Lions. I think, in fairness to my decision, what I will say is this: my concern was with Rourke being able to play a complete game. If you remember me saying that, and he came right in under the wire.
Yeah.
He played well enough, long enough to win the game.
Well, I honestly, after being out for as long as he was, I didn't expect him to throw for 300 yards or 2 touchdowns either.
No,
This is the first time that the Lions have been to the Western Final since 2016. So there's a lot riding on this young quarterback's shoulders. So I'm glad that they finally managed to pull it out. I mean, lucky Whitehead was out. They had a first-year pass catcher, Alexander Hollins, in. It wasn't an easy game, and it wasn't a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination.
great touchdown for Hollings.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Fantastic to see.
they did a great job. Their offense took off early in the first half. In fact, and then the defense kind of kicked in the second half, while the offense wasn't really generating much. And unfortunately for Calgary, they could not generate anything in either half of any kind of consequence that would lead to them winning. I was surprised. Now, their defense had a few injuries. There were concerns, but I guess I'm built on this with Calgary always having faith in them next man up. But this game did not prove that to be true. In fact, Calgary looked human, and in their humanity, they found themselves behind the 8 ball. And that second half was, if you were a Calgary fan, that had to be excruciating. I mean, it was excruciating for me because I'm going, so when's Calgary going to show up? When are they going to do what I
Yeah.
know they can do?
I mean, the fact that they only showed up, in the fourth quarter is a little bit problematic in and of itself. I mean, the problem is that they didn't help themselves by falling down early. When you
Absolutely.
when you great that you guys came out of the first quarter tied 3-all, but going into the locker room down 13-6 certainly didn't help the momentum. Um,
Absolutely.
so
Bo Levi Mitchell said his goodbyes after the game on Facebook. He's said thank you to everybody, to all the fans, the team, management, everybody, and it was a great run. Thank you very much. The good, the bad, it was all precious, and the dude knows he's not going back to Calgary. The question now is, when you end up in this situation, does he think he has anything left? Does he think what happened this year was an anomaly? Wasn't who he can be? Aaron, I'm literally on the fence.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. There were occasional flashes of brilliance. There were occasional flashes of the old Bo Levi Mitchell, but um, for the most part this season, he looked almost embarrassingly human for a guy that's put up the numbers that he's put up consistently year after year after year. You know, this season coming in and putting up just over 2,000 yards in 18 games when he put up almost 2,600 in 11 games last year seems like a huge aberration. So, I mean, think of it as either a down year or time really did catch up with him and did a number on him. I prefer to think he's still got something left in the tank. So,
Yeah, well, somebody's gonna have to take a flyer on him.
yeah.
And he either way, the flyer is going to be not expensive, not the kind of
Yeah.
price that he will have to take, as the boys say, a haircut. In fact, he might be looking bald because it's not there ain't going to be much hair left on that paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's going to be looking at, I think, a fairly significant home team discount if he does end up anywhere. And
Well,
it's,
he's going to get a flyer contract. They're going to
yeah,
say, okay, it's going to be probably just strictly bonuses. However, they can do it. However, they can with bonuses. That's what's probably going to end up happening, depending on how many games he plays. Blah 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 blah. But is there a partner out there? Well, we'll find out in this off season. We know that with Calgary bringing Meyer in, and then Edmonton's made a decision on their quarterback. There's been a lot of talk about Saskatchewan. We know BC doesn't need a quarterback, so here in the East, I think Harris has proven Montreal's okay. Ottawa might have Mazzoli back next year. He might be healthy, and so um, it's not exactly they've got, of course, they've got the original guy they were gonna have coming back from Calgary, and the Argos are always happy with Macbeth. So there really is only one choice. The only place he could probably land is Saskatchewan, and I don't know how that community will take to him, but I think that won't be a problem because if he plays well, they'll take him.
I'm just looking back at what happened with Cody Fajardo out there in the past couple of weeks, and that whole situation there. It definitely seems like there would be a fit for him there if he decided to move just a little bit further east. So, I mean, we'll have
There
to see.
was there was an opportunity afforded for Jardo by them eliminating the OC. They basically cleared the slate for him. Next year, the defense obviously is separate from the offense, but this team gets, even though it's just an assistant coach, they did kind of, you know, loosen a little something to give them, somebody's paid the price. The guy who's been fired paid the price because of what he did is another question. But this will buy time for Fajardo, and them finding another OC. Um, it's funny, Fajardo looked really good for a time, and then all of a sudden, it's like he just didn't know how to play anymore. And some might suggest, and I think fairly, the system did not agree with him, and the
No,
offensive
it's
line,
entirely possible.
and the
I'm
offensive
wondering.
line.
I want to keep an eye on who the Riders are going to pick up as their OC because
It's
that
going to be
could
interesting.
potentially tip the hand. Yeah, I mean,
Going to be
depending on
really
who the
interesting.
OC
La
is,
Police
that
is
could be a
available.
tip as to where Mitchell might end up.
La Police is available.
Yeah.
He's a good OC, head coach. Maybe a lot of people said, well, maybe he's just not a good head coach, but he's a great OC. But anyway, let's go to the National Hockey League. And oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't talk about the halftime at the Grey Cup.
Did they finally announce who it was?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll assume everybody knows it. Don't worry about it. We'll talk
Okay.
about it another time. We'll worry about it on Wednesday. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. Country music takes the stage. A former McMaster football player takes the stage. Read about it, enjoy it, and we'll have a lot of fun talking about it. Let's talk about the NHL. And on this show, sometimes I think because Aaron is such a lefty and such a socially responsible dude, whenever hockey players or hockey leagues do things they shouldn't do, Aaron wants to remind us that they're doing it. And Aaron didn't convince me. I agree with Aaron. About 9 times out of 10, I agree with Aaron. And Aaron, we saw the Bruins parting ways with Mitchell Miller. We talked about, and I talked about specifically how 2 organizations like Montreal and Boston could do something like this, not because the kid doesn't deserve a break, but when one says that we are a class organization, that means they're beyond repute, right? Um, but in this case, they're calling into question. The Bruins called into question their judgment.
Now, this is one of those situations where, you guys were 10-1 headed into this weekend. You had a 7-game win streak going on, and you're about to play the team that you perennially beat in the playoffs, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you're going to announce that you signed this kid, Mitchell Miller. I don't think any of the players appreciated, A, the timing, or B, the signing. When interviewed, Bergeron, Nick Foligno, and Brad Marchand all cast doubt as to the
Foligno
benefits.
specifically said, "Why?
Yeah,
Why? Why?"
Apparently, they felt he was good enough at hockey that it overshadowed everything else. So that's
I think what it comes down to is, look, everybody makes mistakes. If there's anybody out there who feels they've never made a mistake in their life, don't get caught, because you'll end up in this situation. Because that's part of the problem is realizing, seeing yourself in the mirror, admitting you made a mistake, and making change. I've made my mistakes in my life, and I've tried to make change. I think I've done a good job of it, as far as I know. And I have a lot of history, so I've been around for a really long time, and so I can be judged by 2022 rules, because I go back to the Stone Age. So it'd be real easy. But in this case, we're talking about a young man, 14 at the time, did something that, if he would have just come out and said with sincerity, if somehow somebody had made that calculation inserted in his head, where, look, you were 14, you dumbass, you made a stupid mistake. Do you think you should do that or not? And no, I shouldn't do that. So now, why don't you let the person know that, no, none of that stuff happened. So how does Boston sign him?
No, that I'm really not sure of. I mean, he was charged with assault and a violation of the Ohio Safe Schools Act back in 2016, after he admitted to bullying a black classmate with a learning
Over a
disability.
prolonged period.
Yeah. Like, this wasn't one mistake. This was a period of years. The Coyotes selected him with the 110th overall pick, and then promptly renounced it as soon as some of that information came to light. This information has not been hidden. It's been very much in the public eye for the past 2 years. In that period of time, Miller did not try to reach out to the family of Isaiah, or to Isaiah himself, until about a week and a half ago, when he reached out through Instagram and a direct message there to say, hey, wanted to reach out and say sorry. This apology has nothing to do with hockey. Meanwhile, the Boston Bruins are out there saying, well, we wanted to sign him, and one of the conditions of him signing is he had to apologize.
and the
So,
excrement hit the oscillator when
oh,
mommy posted and called and said, he hasn't apologized to my son. And mothers around the world would do the exact same thing she did. And he should have done something, he didn't. So now he's paying the price, and the Bruins are left with, well, we're not joking about this, but lots of egg on their face.
and let's be honest here. The solutions to all of this is relatively simple. There have to be receipts that this individual has put in the work, something demonstrable that he's worked to change, and that he's not the same. Apparently, when there's a media report floating around out there, Frank, that when it came to a judge adjudicating on this case for the validity of the contract, the judge clearly stated he didn't feel that Mitchell Miller had matured at all or had recognized this. And surely the very well crafted but nothing burger of an apology statement that the Bruins put out on Mitchell Miller's behalf definitely didn't ring true.
No,
You know,
it
so
Bettman was, nope, he ain't playing in this league.
yeah, even the AHL said no.
Well, that's what happened. The AHL president, CEO, whatever, the commissioner, he said, I'm going to be looking into this, and then I'll be making a decision. I think he made a decision.
Yeah,
Because if the NHL won't let you play for them, and the AHL won't let you play for them, I don't know, the Newfoundland Grizzlies, or I don't know, but
not
that.
even the ECHL would take this guy. I got news for you, Frank.
Okay,
It's
no,
not
well,
going to
that's
happen.
I was just going running down the list. Okay, let's talk about other hockey teams. One in particular, the one that we follow very closely because we happen to be in the neighborhood. That's of course the Toronto Maple Leafs. When on Friday when we left this, it was and I'm going to say this, and I think we both agreed. We said, you know what, last year, I pointed out. I know I pointed out, and I don't think you disagreed with me. Last year they were doing the same thing they were doing this year, starting real slow, and then November came and they went 12-2, and I said, well, if they go back to the way they did things before, play lousy against lousy teams, play well against good teams, this will be a good run for the Leafs, and woe betide. Guess what happened?
Yeah, they rattled off three in a row. Here's the really funny thing. The Marlies were actually playing on Saturday night in Belleville at the time, and unfortunately, Samsonov hurt himself on Brad Marchand's penalty shot when he origamied himself backwards into the net over his left knee. And Keith Petruzzelli of the Marlies signed an NHL contract during the second intermission break of the game that he was currently playing with the Toronto Marlies. After the game, they bundled him on a plane. He got into North Carolina at about 6 o'clock in the morning and was suited up for the Maple Leafs as a backup goalie to Ilya Samsonov later that night. So
And
here's how dire the Leafs situation was. This is their fifth string goalie because Wall is injured, Samsonov is injured, Murray's injured, Shulgren's their third string goalie, Petruzzelli's their fifth at 6'6". They couldn't actually sign him until they tried to send Obey Kubel down through waivers, and he got claimed by the Washington Capitals, which freed up a contract spot for them to
they're at
actually sign
49.
Petruzzelli.
They were at
Like,
49, so they could go
oh,
back up to 50. Yeah, that was a heck of a coincidence, and it's not like they planned it because Samsonov was injured on Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, they lost the player, and then Saturday night, soon as they found out there was an injury in the middle of a game, they called and signed Petruzzelli. Now, here's something I want to tell you. Here's another. I don't know. You didn't mention this little coincidence. He's a former Bruin. He's a
yes.
former Boston Bruin. Well, not Boston
What
Bruin. He's a former Bruin who played in Boston as a youngster.
It's one of those lucky happenstances or fortuitous
And he was
coincidences.
sitting on the bench watching that team. That's the first team he sees from a bench. His first pro game, it's against the Bruins. He didn't get to go in, but that's kind of the irony. The irony does not end in this situation. It was full of irony. And truly ironic was the fact that Shalgren let in a quick goal that was kind of, people were going, that shouldn't have been a goal. And then bang, he shut the door. I mean, it was like, as soon as that goal went in, I know there were diapers loaded everywhere when that goal went in, and everybody was going, "Oh, go, here we go. Oh, damn." Right. And wouldn't you know it, Shalgren
Yeah.
played well and was there when it mattered. And that wonderful phrase they use for goaltenders in pro hockey, he played well enough to give the team a chance to win.
Yeah, and that's all you really ask is, does your goalie give your team the opportunity to get the goals that they need? And you know what? In this case, full value. Can't complain.
Finished with a game with like a 970 save percentage. Hello. And that's his first win of the season,
That's true.
right? That's his first win, too. I think he lost three. Is it three?
Yeah,
Right?
he
I think
lost
it's
his
three that he
previously outing,
lost,
three
right?
outings. So
And so he finally wins a game. Petrozelli watches his hometown team play from sitting on a contract. And the Leafs, once again, when I heard that he was claimed off waivers, I said to myself, did he go to Vancouver? No, but it wasn't Vancouver this time. It wasn't Vancouver. And then on Saturday, of course, we had Matthews find the net.
yeah, it was finally a relief to see him break out. It's been an issue for him for a few games now where he hasn't been able to find the back, but he seems to be coming out of his funk right about now. His second goal was on the power play, and that turned out to be the game winner, which snapped the Bruins' 7-game winning streak. Couldn't be more happy for the guy.
Yeah, I think what they have to do is they have to tell the players, they have to lie to the players. You're not allowed to look at the news, sports, or anything like that. And every team that's coming in is the best team in the National Hockey League right now. if they want to win more games. No, they've got it. I like the way Keefe described it. After the Bruin game, before the Carolina game, he says, "Okay, guys, what I need you to do is think about what you did that day against Boston, and I want you to jar it, and then open it before the game."
You know what?
Good
Honestly, though, that
coach.
was a game the Leafs weren't supposed to win either.
Well, and then you look, and their best player comes back after being injured in Boston. And they get him back, and he didn't help. It didn't work out well for him. We talked about the penalty. I was kind of iffy on the penalty. It looked like the defender did touch the puck, but it was a penalty. The penalty shot, score, injured goaltender. Oh my gosh, where are we going? And when I saw him stretch like he did, I was worried about his health, and one of those things that you worry about sometimes. So then the Leafs play the Hurricanes, and that guy Tavares, that guy there, that John Tavares guy, he's locked in at what is it, 399 goals?
Yeah, he needs one more to hit 400, so we're anxiously waiting on that one. But yeah, former Leaf legend Stefan Nason actually scored for the Carolina Hurricanes because, of
You
course,
only
he
played
did.
one game for the Leafs, Aaron. Come on.
That's
I
the
guess
joke,
once a Leaf,
Frank.
always a Leaf.
And Freddie only had 18 saves on 21 shots, so there's that to look at as well. The thing
Yeah,
I have to wonder about here is this: so there's a lot of Maple Leafs goaltenders that go on to get really phenomenal contracts, but then don't seem to do as well as they did. And you have to
absolutely.
wonder: is our defense underrated, or are the goalies overrated, or are they just having bad seasons? Because Jack Campbell, oof, Maroon, this guy has not been having a good year.
Oh,
That's a little further down the road, but
absolutely. Aaron, we've run out of time.
oh,
We're
holy
too busy
smokes.
having a good time talking about about stuff. Eduardo's on there, goes, you can go for an hour if you want. Anyway, Aaron, this was awesome. We'll do it again on Wednesday. We'll talk about some other stuff that we missed today. And for those of you watching, we hope you enjoyed this program. As always, we love bringing to you Along with Aaron William Freeland, I'm Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, airing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We call it Leaf Talk on Fridays. The show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.